Hello everybody, this is Frogman. Welcome back to FTB Skies. Last episode we started doing a few things, well, working towards trying to get towards the end of the line that we are here, because we need to start looking at trying to make some plutonium, which means we need to start messing around with some radioactive materials, which means we needed to process, well, a bit of fissile fuel. So in between episodes, I did a little bit of just upgrading to some of these. We threw a couple of upgrades and everything just so that they'd run a little bit faster. And I've kind of been crafting and kind of fooling around with a couple of other things. So we do now have a reasonable amount of fissile fuel, which means the reactor that we built the last time is in the nether, ready to go. And again, I'm sitting here contemplating right now whether or not I care about the steam that we're going to get. The reasoning why I'm going to say I'm going to contemplate about the steam that we're going to get is because of the fact that it's going to not be a wonderful, and I mean, I haven't exactly sat down and done the studying and the testing as far as what this reactor would be capable of powering. These guys, I swear, I don't know why you keep spawning. It must be something in these areas or whatever, however. But the thing is ready to go. Reactor's up. Water is plumbed. This should be functional. And like, again, we can adjust this for how it's going to burn and what it's going to do, but I have not turned it on because whatever is going to come out of this is going to be radioactive, and we're going to have to deal with that problem. Thank you for your gem. I don't care. We've kind of thrown a few things away at this point. I really don't need any of this. So anyhow, we're going to play with this here hopefully soonish. I want to get a couple of the other little things done, and I've been kind of playing around with some testing on some other stuff. So once this is ready to go, we'll go ahead, build all of the little parts that we need to do. Actually, I think I have both of them right here. We already kind of crafted them up. We're going to put them down and we'll leave them alone. That's not where I wanted you. Please don't drop into the void. We'll play with this here because everything that's going to come out of this, again, is going to be reactive to the point that we're going to have to store the leftovers of whatever comes out of this thing so that it can slowly degrade over time and we won't have to worry about it. Now, I'm a huge fan of making lots of power, especially lots of RF or EFE or whatever the hell they call it now, or heck they call it now. The thing is, I kind of don't really want to do all the work that it takes to get through to a turbine at this point. You know, we could set it all up, we could build a turbine, we could play around with it, and it'd probably make 100,000 RF. You know, whoop-de-doo, given that there's some other things that I kind of figured out as we were playing around. So, as I was playing around. This, again, we're going to wait on this for just a little bit. We only need to craft 5 of these things, at least for this part. They only need to craft 5 of those plutonium pellets. However, we're going to have to kind of work on some other things as well, because as we go on down the line through some of these quests, so like if we go over here, antimatter pellets, we're going to have to make antimatter pellets. We're going to have to make antimatter. Antimatter is made with polonium. Polonium is a solar neutron activator that takes nuclear waste and turns it into the polonium. It's another way of getting rid of the stuff that comes out of here. And as far as I know, that's a direct conversion. There is no leftover waste past this, I don't think. Maybe I've lost my mind here. It doesn't really matter either way. We're going to have to do this, which means we're going to have to create plastic, which means we're going to have to go down that line. I've looked at some of the other stuff that's here, and I'm still trying to debate actually whether it's even worth completing this section right here. I love fusion reactors. They're a lot of fun to build. We're going to have to make, I think the worst part is we're going to have to make the fuel for the fusion reactor, but we don't necessarily need to make the fusion reactor. And the reason why we don't necessarily need to make the fusion reactor is that the game gave us 2 free sources of mana forever. Complete, total, free sources of mana forever. And you're going to do that to me. I'm going to do the easy thing. I'm just going to do the easy way of doing things. We're creating fuel over here pretty much for free, using all of this stuff and the bone meal that comes out of the network and the stuff and all of the other things. So I kind of went ahead and started playing around with something. So the something is, this thing is an infinite source, and it, because of the because of the sparks, you can infinitely just send however much power or however much mana to any kind of anything. So I went and sat down and crafted 60 some of these things, or whatever we needed to get over to the spot where we had a stack of 11 Fluxfields. And I crafted all of the necessary parts, like all of the little, the sparks. Plus, I went ahead and crafted a bunch of universal cable. Yes, I understand that it's going to be a little bit more expensive because I use the universal cable, but for 64,000 FE a tick. This is just 2 stacks of diamonds plus the diamonds that it takes to make this. I know diamonds are kind of one of those little, universal measure of how good Minecraft does, what's expensive. When you start talking about what we're going to get out of this reactor that we just built, it's kind of, again, pretty stinking expensive when you start thinking about how many diamonds went into that thing just to make it work. And diamonds are not impossible. We're raising them. But this wasn't very hard to craft. It's just redstone, diamonds, and stone. And that. So what I did in between episodes was I automated a few things, namely the production of runes to a point and the production of living rock and living wood. So for those of you that don't know, there's a kind of a little neat thing that you can do as far as placing and block placing when it comes to both refined storage and applied energistics. And that is, in applied energistics, it's a formation plane. I think in refined storage it's a crafter or constructor, and then a annihilation plane or a destructor, I think, in refined storage, that you can just kind of program to set things down. They'll place it down around the thing will do the work, and then once it's done, you can set it to where the annihilation plane or the destructor pick up whatever it is. Now, applied energistics is a little bit harder to do because annihilation planes, they don't have a configuration interface versus the formation plane. So a configuration interface, basically what I'm talking about is that, like a destructor, this thing, the destructor right there, which again, not all that impossible to make. This has an interface that will allow you to filter what goes in and out, or I should say what goes into the destructor, what it's allowed to pick up. Annihilation planes require you to type some kind of storage. So what I did was I made an ME chest and then I stuck a 4K storage in it. We get to the side of it here, of which I have typed to 2 different things, which you type cells using a cell workbench. So something like this. It's pretty simple. You just put that in there and then you program the cell to tell you what you need to do as far as things go. And I went ahead and just used one of these because it's just simple, easy. It has an interface. It needs to do everything that I need to do it. And all I really have to do here is we just grab, say, a bunch of stone. So we'll take a stack of stone and you toss it in this chest. This import bus grabs it, puts it over there. And if you're in a hurry, you can just sit here and let it do what it needs to do, or you can queue it up. This is totally automatable via, like, say, I can even automate this, and as far as I'm certain, we can even get away with not even doing this if you just stick a storage bus on here on this chest specifically and type the storage bus to what you want the annihilation planes to be able to pick up. But in that amount of time, there's a stack of living rock. We needed lots of it because I needed, many stacks of this. What? It's 4 stacks per each. Well, it's 4 pieces. No, excuse me, 8 pieces of stuff per each one of those things. So again, it's a lot of rock and a lot of thing. Of course, then I had to automate the production of doing the double tall flowers so that I could make the sparks. Again, nothing major over there, just a placer that places down a little bit of stuff, and he's currently got a few of these in there. I kind of accidentally ran it too long. An item user that it's not working. I don't know what's going on. It was working yesterday when I tried it, but for some odd reason it's now no longer working. But the item user, basically what happens is block placer places pedal, dispenser via redstone clock, clicks that and places, basically does this, that, and then for whatever reason this doesn't want to work, you do this, picks it up, put it in here, crafts it, puts the thing back over there, that thing places another one of those down. So that's no big deal there. But the fun part was this thing right here, which I think I have a couple of things programmed into it that I was using regardless. I was wondering about the ordered sorter and whether or not it would help us do this in a batch, like in a large amount of thing. So by testing with those runes up there, making all of those runes are a little bit fun. Energy, or there's a test basically for later on, or for, something really, really neat. Any one of these that require 2 runes or another rune or a thing that you're going to get to reuse over and over and over and over and over again, this thing really, really, really works very, very, very well because you can just, craft whatever you need to craft as far as this goes. So essentially, like I said, you just throw in 2 stacks of redstone, 2 stacks of mana diamonds, which again, it's just diamonds and mana, and at this point we have it for free, and the 2 runes that you need. and then this thing will craft it automatically for you. So let's see if I still have these things. We need one of those. We go ahead and craft one more. That's not a big deal. What's in here? We got 2 more diamonds and a couple of pieces of redstone. Boink, boink. What's fun about it is, like I said, you craft it when you program this thing, and let's go ahead and clear it, make sure it's not trying to do something else. There we go. I've had a little bit of funky fun with it because it's not exactly working the way that I think it's intended to do this, but what we can do is we can take the 2 runes that we need, because this is going to be required for the crafting every single time. This and this. This is where it's going to start. If it doesn't have those in this chest, it won't start the process. So this is why it's kind of fun. And then you do redstone, redstone, mana diamond, mana diamond. Those will all drop down in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to utilize a hopper hawk, a floating hopper hawk, to collect the runes once they're completed and place them in this chest. So if I do this, 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 and this, and then I make sure my magnet's off and flick the switch, it immediately grabbed them up, put them right back on the thing, expecting me to give it a couple of more things to be able to make it work. Why that is so interesting is because of the fact this is fast enough. Well, I should say, this is going to wait until it gets those 2 runes back before it pours more things on top of this particular altar. What's neat about that, when we get to the end of this, or I should say when we're getting to the point here, when we start to have to do those really big, ugly, nasty runes later on down the line, I forget where it's at. It's, where is it? This one right here. They want 16 of those things right off the bat. Well, every one of these requires 2 runes to craft. Every one of them, but some of them require special runes. So you could sit down and batch craft a whole bunch of this kind of stuff, and all you'd have to do is fill that chest up with the parts you need and wait for the system to continue to work. Yes, there are other ways of automating it. Applied energistics, you can do that. You can do a little bit of fun stuff. Refined storage, for that matter. Well, not this. Refined storage will automate the connection of that thing into there. But the problem is, once again, there's got to be a kind of a wait period, and I really kind of like this. We're only going to need to batch craft 16 of everything. Actually, I only need to batch craft 16 of 3 of them, because the piglins that I had trading up there gave me all the fire runes I'm ever going to need. But like, it just works reasonably well. So then of course, I did go ahead and upgrade to an Elven altar, which allows me to access the power of the spark transmission network. So it's stupid fast, even on the little runes. So yeah, upgrade that, get it done. We're using comparator to read when this thing's ready to do the work, and a little bit of redstone magic that I kind of found. I kind of like this thing. Again, create comes back and helps us out. This pulse repeater, basically what it does is it takes a pulse in and then adds a specific amount of time before it ticks, which is absolutely beautiful. I love it. So all we do is and I'm a fan of being able to see the living rock go on. I like to see the living rock go on. It also allows me to make sure that everything works that way. But again, anyhow, this thing tells me when it's time to do it. So it ticks out once, ticks the living rock onto the altar, and then a second later, it ticks a dispenser with a wand of the forest onto that then completes the craft. Once that craft is completed, this hopper hawk picks things up and puts it in this chest, which is perfectly fine. And again, it's redstone controllable via this. Yes, that means I have to program every single rune that this thing wants to make. But that does mean, for that matter, you could theoretically just put 4 of these or 5 of these or whatever all the way around the outside of this, or make several of them, or do whatever you want to do. And it just kind of removes some of the pain that I've had with this thing, because sometimes Applied Energistics just wants to continuously pile stuff on top of it, even though you set it to require everything to come back before the next craft happens. So it's a little bit odd. And again, refined storage will do the same kind of thing. So that was kind of fun. We'll be using this probably here very shortly. I'm going to have to sit down and craft a bunch of those runes regardless. Whether or not we're going to be turning this one in today, I don't know. We have to kind of play around with this one, which is going to be playing around a little bit with Apotheosis, which we've got to make a couple of things for that anyway. So let's go do a couple of other things very quickly, because, you know, we've got all this other fun stuff that we can do. I actually need to sleep is what I need to do. All right. But yes, I'm all about this kind of stuff, because this stuff doesn't make dirty of my environment. And again, given the fact that we have this here, this is the same thing as that is. So we could just do that too. Anyhow, let's go. I need to make a few things with this. So let's start working at those plutonium pellets for now, because I want to be able to just kind of make sure this works. Plutonium is plutonium here with fluorite dust. Fluorite dust, again, is just something in a crusher. So give me, just do this. Give me a stack of that. I don't think I have this set up anyway, so go. Okay. And then I want to make sure we produce or make the, let's get over here to mechanism, hazmat stuff. Tell me this is going to take plastic. It doesn't. It just takes orange dye. Orange dye, you say. So, helmet, gown, pants, and I should have some of this other stuff in here. I'm going to have to make some more things. We got way too much crap hanging out in our inventory right now. And the boots, probably I'm going to have to make some of the black dye. Nice. Okay. So I'm assuming that should help us out by not getting too sick when we start turning this thing on, because I do believe it immediately starts doing the stuff that it's supposed to do. The other thing I need to do is I need to make sure I have plenty of gas tube. I think basic should move it fast enough. All right, a couple more things crafted. I don't need you or you, I think, at this point, and you can go away too. We're just going to bring a bunch of this along and hope we can just kind of craft things. So let's go here. And I'm going to go ahead and do it, I think. We're just going to take this tank, and I'm going to hope that that just sucks in whatever it does, and we're going to just dump everything. So that should be the water coming out of here. Yeah, I know. We could probably condensate it or do whatever we wanted to do. I don't really care at this point. I mean, can I do anything with it? We could... Yeah, I can't do anything with it, so that's fine. We're just going to dump it. And then this is going to come out of here into the thing that it immediately needs to go into. So, let's see. Waste. Click. You. I guess I can get rid of those too real quick. Nuclear waste needs to go right straight into isotopic centrifuge, which is then turned into plutonium, which will then be taught with water, I believe. Yeah, it looks like just water, so we can actually let's do this. We're gonna swap these sides then. Wrench, go away, go away. Thank you. We'll so you're gonna do waste, you're gonna do coolant. Since we have the water on this one side already, you can just be dumping and then turn that on so that I don't lose the parts. Now, spend too much time doing this. Thank you. All right. So that is going to need water right off. That's fine. Cool. Let's put some cable down, I guess. I don't know how I want to do this. This is going to be kind of ugly, because this thing... I don't know if this works the way it's supposed to. Let's do this. I am going to stare at the wall for a second. Pressurized reaction chamber. I'm going to put you down flat, though that way we have water ready to go. You can be that. And then tube. Tube. No. Hole. God dang it. So that'll go into there. Your input, no, your input is going to be clear everything. I have no idea which side that's going to be. It's going to be one of the sides. Output is on the bottom. And then you're going to be clear input. And then you're going to need to go Let me see, blue or whatever output is going to go that direction. And then we have to set a whole bunch of this stuff up into these. All right, so what these radioactive waste barrels do is, if you look at it, actual decay rate is 1 millibucket of whatever you put in it per 20 ticks, or 1 millibucket a second is what it's going to take to eat things. And they hold, you know, 512,000 millibuckets of stuff. Hi, what are you doing over here? Anyhow, we'll see how that works. I need to do this, and then you can pull just in case. And then I need to get power. So water's got to come into here. Do I have any water? But I don't need that one. I need the water. Do I have anything on me? I do have 4 fluid pipes. Amazing. So we'll just grab this. That should fill that up immediately with water. And then I just need power, which we can put right there. So you get your fluorite dust. And we try not to freaking kill ourselves. Let's see. I want to set you to current rate. We'll just do current rate. Let's do 5 for right now. So 5 MB a tick. Main. Activate. What I'm concerned about is this number right here. Did you make anything? Wow. Okay. That might be a problem. I thought I put upgrades in all of these. I did. Well, let's do this then. We'll turn it down to 1. Water's going to come down slowly. We might have to put a few more sinks up or get a little bit more water going. But again, just a breeder reactor. I just need to make sure this does what it needs to do. Why are you not producing anything? Oh, because I probably didn't. Do you not take it in on that side? Oh, you know what I'm doing. I'm doing it wrong. Hang on. There it is. So I'm one of those. Crap. Off. Gases. Gases configuration. There you go. Okay, now we're getting nuclear waste. That's going to be run through here, turned into plutonium. That's going to be dumped into here, hopefully. Where did it go? Hello? Where did you go? I think I have my cables a little too close. It looks like it's accidentally deleting things. And I don't know how. All right, so now we need to let that run until we get a bucket of that stuff, which means we're going to have to do a little bit of playing around. So if we see that kind of a little bitty, that sparkle thingy, that means there's radiation happening, which we're going to have to be careful with. This also means I'm going to have to get a couple of more of these and probably a lot more water input to make this function reasonably well. So give me a little bit. I'm going to go kind of upgrade a little bit on this and we can get things going. All right, enough fooling around, got a few things sorted, did a couple of more connections onto the sinks over here, and went ahead and just gave them the ultimate pipe upgrade that we could possibly do. So this is capable now of mostly keeping itself kind of full, and I got it kind of tweaked down. We're currently burning at 6 millibuckets a tick, and in that process and amount of time, we've managed to make 5 of the pellets, and we're about to make another one. So this was just one of those things I kind of wanted to play with and figure out. And again, I am a complete fool and forgot totally about that trash can. I'm sitting here trying to dump stuff into tanks, and they were not working. So went ahead and made a ultimate pressurized tube, or a few of them, just so that we can kind of get that taken care of. They're good for 256,000 millibuckets of pump rate per tick. However, the capacity is kind of nice to play with, but we're just going to avoid this stuff for now. Now, what this thing is going to be, what's interesting, and I guess we can kind of touch on this a little bit as we're sitting here before we end this. We're given a decent amount of information as far as what's really cool about what these things can do. So the max burn rate on this is 20 millibuckets a tick, and the rate limit at which we're currently set right here is at 6. Well, for 6 millibuckets a tick of the fissile fuel, we are capable of producing 120,000 millibuckets of steam per tick, which is a lot if you think about the fact that it's requiring this kind of a amount of stuff to be able to take care of this. And for whatever reason, at this point, I think we're probably pretty close to eating. We should be pretty close to being able to eat all of that what's left of the waste product out of here. So what happens is when we get the nuclear waste goes through the isotopic centrifuge and then is dumped into here, turned into plutonium. The plutonium is then mixed with some water, and this is like, I guess, any fluid, so it doesn't really matter. The plutonium is mixed, then it is turned, with a little bit of fluorite dust and emptied into emptied into here, which is then turned into spent nuclear waste, which is then dropped into here and will slowly evaporate into the environment over time, I guess, is how it works. Like, you kind of watch them and it goes away fairly quickly. So I have way too many of these right now, and again, we can kind of play around and make this a lot bigger, a lot better. That number is a number that you can use to calculate against the parts pieces that go into a turbine that will allow you to understand how much power you could theoretically make with a turbine. So I mean, I haven't really looked at it as far as turbines go, but we can, I think the ponder is on this one. Where is it? We can look at them real quick, and if I get really bored, I might just go ahead and do it. Let's see. Click on that. So they're different looking as far as some of the other deals, and it's kind of a interesting mess to work with. The thing that's about it is that you can design them based around a process of what's coming out of the actual reactor as far as parts. So we'll just click it through, and the numbers are not here aside from here. And if you do want to do it, I would suggest looking at the wiki for them or understanding how they work. But that gives you the number that you can then, build a turbine around the process. Now, you're going to shove this much steam out of this reactor into a turbine, and when the turbine is done with it, it will shove the water, or can shove the water that you give it, or that it will produce, back into this reactor, so that you don't need this little process right here. So it's kind of cool in that you can fill up a reactor completely full of water and then turn the system on, turn the turbine on, let the turbine push the water back, and you'll never ever have to add any water back into it, unlike some of the other processes like extreme reactors. I think you can kind of make that somewhat work like that, but it is what it is. So we're going to need a lot of this stuff regardless. I'm probably going to let this run for quite a while and get us several stacks of this stuff, so I'm probably going to have to go figure out how I'm going to put a container of something on that. I might just move this up and over, but a couple of things to note before we end on this little process. This basic pressurized tube, as long as you see the little particles fluxing around that thing, do not break the tube, period. It will put nuclear waste into your environment and make a nasty amount of radiation and all kinds of stuff. As you can see, for whatever reason, I'm perfectly fine wearing all of this right now, so I didn't necessarily need to make the hazmat masks and the hazmat stuffs and all that kind of thing. So as long as this is functional and you don't break anything, you should be fine. The other thing to note over here, again, like I stated, these radioactive waste barrels, do not break them or move them if there's anything in them. So they're slowly eating up whatever's coming out of here. So essentially we're just crafting the plutonium into something else. So we're going to go boink, then we're going to dump 1,000 millibuckets of plutonium, or spent nuclear active or spent radioactive waste into here, which over a period of however long, so apparently I think it's 1 millibucket a 1 millibucket a second. So if you spread it out over a whole bunch of barrels, then in 30 or so seconds, it will eat, at least at the current rate we're at, all of the waste and make it go away. So it's one of those things. Did I get another stick? I thought I heard something. Must have thrown something down, whatever. So you got to kind of pay attention to that and make sure that you're kind of setting things up. I think I screwed up and there's a bunch of plutonium in this one that I might be able to suck that out of there, but I think I'm just going to ignore the fact that it lives in that barrel until we're done. We're not getting clear over here to the end anyway, so no big deal. I think I could probably pull that back out and put it into the system. Oh, it's you. Hi. Anyhow, so we should be good to let this run and just craft us some parts, pieces, and then once we get, I'm probably going to say like a stack of this stuff, then we'll go ahead and work to the next level, which is going to be making the polonium pellets that we're going to need for other things. Give me control of my computer. But I guess for now, we have a fission reactor messing around, and if I, again, have time, I will maybe go ahead and build a a turbine over here based on the math that this thing can produce this much, so that we can kind of, you know, maybe have a little bit of fun and make a little bit more power. I'd have to go back to my test world and see exactly how much this was actually making, but again, the reactor, or I should say the reactor, those flux fields, they're pretty good when you have free mana. So anyhow, I think we'll call it right there. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.